everyone, this is the first half of the Section 2 India packet. This presentation was put together by Sergio, Julian, and Jorge, and presented by Jasmine Ma and Jasmine Sarabia.
The Mughals, which descended from the Mongols and the Timurid, were first ruled by Babur. Babur, a Timurid prince, was jealous of many grander cities and led an expedition to overtake them. In 1504, he conquered Kabul. In 1526, he defeated the Sultan of Delhi. He was credited with the start of the Mughal in 1526, but he died 4 years later. He had a son, Humayun, who did not live to the expectations of the people. He was even banished to Iran by a military leader.
Akbar, who followed Humayun, was followed as one of the greatest rulers of the Mughal Empire. He unified most of the land that is now India. He also changed and made many political policies where all cultures are accepted. He even let people keep their religion when they were conquered, like the Hindi people.
Jahangir was a Mughal ruler between 1605 and 1628. Jahangir based his rule off of his father Akbar. In fact, he did everything practically the same. His wife Nur Jahan was an influence on his reign. She was the only Mughal woman to have her name on a coin. Shah Jahan was Jahangir's third son, and he asserted military authority at a young age to be ruler after Jahangir died. He wanted conquest of the north and central subcontinent. He gained authority by building Indian architecture. Shah Jahan was the one who ordered the Crown Palace or Taj Mahal. Aurangzeb put his father Shah Jahan in prison so he could have authority of the empire. He insisted stricter religious regulations after his father weakened religion with his military power. He struggled to keep complete authority because he acted more of a tyrant than a leader. For example, he banned music from the royal court.
Akbar made the Mansabri system, which was responsible for providing military might in the Mughal Empire. The military started with 10 horses and military personnel and increased to about 5,000 horses and personnel. The Mansabdari system helped with plans of expansion. However, Shivaji and Maratha chieftains did not submit to the Mughals, and they needed to cross them to get over the Western Ghats. Besides the Marathans, tension grew between Europeans and Mughals because of competition in trade ports. Tension decreased as the Mughals became stronger and clashes took place.
At one point in time, Europeans saw what a powerhouse Mughals were and wanted to see what was happening in India and start trade posts and maybe even take land. These three countries who wanted this were Portugal, Holland, and Britain.
The Portuguese were the first to make trade routes from India by sea. Their main reasons for success was the Carteza system. The Carteza system let ships and goods enter trade ports. Vasco da Gama was the first to explore India in the port city of Calicut. The Portuguese started a chain in which more countries began going to Calicut. This spiked a trend of different religions to enter India. Besides Calicut, Portuguese made trade operations in Goa, north of Calicut, and Colombo, Sri Lanka. Because of this, Portuguese controlled trade, especially spice trade.
By the mid-1600s, the Dutch had taken over most of the Portuguese settlements. The Dutch had taken over the Coromandel coast, which benefited their trade with Southeast Asia. Establishing their name in Gujarati, the Dutch traded out of Surat. They traded Gujarati textiles and dyes. Textiles became very popular along with silk even at Bengal.
The British did not establish themselves early as the Portuguese or the Dutch, but as the Portuguese declined, the British saw it as a chance to form a relationship with the Mughal Empire. The British moved to the city of Surat, where trade was massive. Queen Elizabeth played an important role, chartering the East India Company as a joint stock company. It was a risky move, but it benefited the British massively. The AIC became a monopoly and establishing their dominance in India trade. The East India Company pushed away other British companies and other nations by appealing to Jahangir's court in the Mughal Empire.
Jahangir and the Portuguese had an agreement which resulted in the British fighting the Portuguese in 1612. The battle was known as the Battle of Swali, which took place off the coast of Surat. The British won the battle, officially marking their dominance in Indian trade. Jahangir was now willing to work with the EIC. A business ambassador for Britain named Thomas Roe worked with the Mughals to have permission to buy land. Along with the land, factories were also bought as they were seen as important because of their increasing revenue and its storage for goods.
Over the years, British acquired multiple cities and locations like Madras. This increased Madras' population to 100,000. In 1668, the British acquired Bombay through a marriage transaction with the Portuguese. Princess Catherine married King Charles. Later on, the Mughals had a falling out with the Portuguese, which allowed the British and Dutch to trade in Bengal. The British felt they would receive more profit without Mughal regulation. Initially, the British threatened the Mughals with armed ships but retreated and received heavy fines from the Mughal Empire. The British moved their important textile trade from Surat to Calcutta. In 1717, the Mughal Empire made the British pay tax on every individual piece of cloth that they received from India. But the British had to pay only an annual fee, making it no difference on the amount they traded. This allowed EIC's business to accelerate without much of an obstacle. The end.
Thank you.